All right, folks, welcome back into another Mancast number 11. Coming back at you, Ed and Chad. This is going to be our draft wrap-up. We can't wait to come back at you to let you know a couple things about this draft wrap-up. The challenge that we presented to you last time was to follow along and to see how our picks, the picks of the experts, and maybe your picks went as well. And spoiler alert, we won. What say you, Ed?
Well, I'm not surprised that collectively. So if we added five experts, and their average accumulative score was 30.8 points. Between Chad and I, it's 32. Chad was the big winner between him and I. He scored 34. I scored 30. The big difference between Chad and I was he picked Bryce Young first and Stroud second. I had quite the opposite. Outside of that, we were dead even in the whole draft. As you can see the graphic on right now, this is the way they went. Again, I can't remember the guy's name from the Sporting News. I can remember where he's from.
Oh, gosh, what is that bastard's name?
He is the guy who scored 37 points, and his draft was quite remarkable.
Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network.
His draft was remarkable. And Chad's was just 3 points behind him. But we wanted to prove that we were every bit as good as the experts without all the fanfare and all the nonsense. And the reason that a guy like Jeremiah and a guy like Mel Kiper, who did as well as we did, and Todd McShay, we have the disadvantage that these guys know the insiders. They can literally pick up a phone and call and find out exactly what plans are the day of the draft and get real inside information. We don't have that ability. So considering that they should be able to score much, much higher than us and they don't, just proves our point. And that point is that Chad and myself are vastly superior to most people on earth. And there, I said it.
Yeah, the average of Ed and I was 32 points.
32.
And the average of 6 leading experts in the entire field of sports media was 30.8.
0.8.
So, I mean,
and
come on.
And to be fair, if you take, like they would do for an aggregate, if you get rid of their highest and their lowest scores, they don't even do that well, I don't think. So we did very well, but we predicted that. We predicted that we would do well. And my point, as yours was all along, was that we're football nerds. We totally love the NFL and we love the players. I'm a freak for statistics and I have a head for numbers, and I've always enjoyed that since I was a kid. But we're just proof positive. I'm not saying we're the only guys that can do it. I'm saying that the rank and file guys who love football the way that we do are probably doing this at home. And I hope our scoring thing kind of, as we gain steam for them too, where we can turn this into a real kind of like competition, just to prove that the lay person who just simply loves this game on the level that we do is every bit as good at this as the alleged experts who get paid just an enormous amount of money to do no better or actually worse than we do ourselves. So Fox, ESPN, CBSSports.com, if you're paying attention, hire us. We're better than the guys you're using.
Well, yeah, I definitely love your scoring regimen that you came up with a few years back, man. As far as, there's people calling it out, like CBS, for instance. I'm going to call you out soon here, CBS, for your incredible draft grades that you give, but we'll get there. As far as the scoring process went, I really appreciate the way you developed the scoring, Ed.
Thank you.
It seems to me to be like the fairest way to go along about it, and to where you only give one score for each pick. But you have the option to get 1, 2, or 3 points depending on what level you get that pick at. So I think it's brilliant. But what I wanted to actually get into was Daniel Jeremiah. Was that his name, for crying out loud? Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network. Guy
from the Sporting News. He's from the is that
the
NFL Network?
NFL Network, yeah, the NFL Network cat. So 37 points overall. and that means that he got three specific picks, not just by the team, the player, but at the point of the pick, and two of those were traded.
Yes.
That's what's weird. That well, or
Well,
no,
that's
no,
just
no, no.
insider
I should.
information, right?
Well, yeah. Well, one of those was
Well,
um,
Will Andrews, he was
well,
dead on the
Anderson.
money.
Yeah,
I mean, excuse me, Anderson. So
yeah,
I didn't know that the Texans were going to trade up to be 2 and 3. I didn't see that coming, and I couldn't have seen that coming because I can't pick up the phone and call the GM of the Houston Texans, right? But this guy
yeah. It
works for
helps to
the
be an
NFL
insider,
Network, so he can do
right?
that.
Yeah, how about it? But so that was amazing to see because nobody expected the Texans to pick at the second and the third. But then,
They gave up a lot for that
but then
second
what
and
else does
third.
Daniel? What else does Daniel Jeremiah do? But nails number 16, the Commanders with Emmanuel Forbes,
Yep.
who neither of us even expected in the first round.
No, not at all. And mostly because he's 160 pounds with rocks in his pockets. He's so little. I mean, and it's not that he's short. He's just rail thin. Look. I think he has all the skills. He's a ball hawk better than all of them, right? I mean, this guy can cover and he's really good. But man, the NFL stands for not for long when you weigh 165 pounds. So they better get this guy into training camp and signed or get him at off season workouts like next week. Because
Right.
if he's not at least 180 pounds when the season starts, he's going to get eaten alive by receivers. And let's face it, in the NFC East, which is loaded with talent and teams that could all go to the playoffs next year, as they almost all went last year, a 165-pound guy is not going to match up well against the big receivers in the NFC East. No way in hell.
That's fair. Well, with that, let's get into a little bit of like the first 10, Ed. Let's talk about the disparity in our scoring. Probably the biggest difference in the way I jumped out ahead of you was that number 1 and number 2.
You got correct,
I
and I
got
did
them.
not.
Yeah, you happen to
You were
have them.
4
You had them
points
flip
ahead at
flop.
that.
You had them
Yeah,
flip flop.
I
Yeah.
did. And I still think that was the way to go. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Now the bet wasn't about your choice. The bet was
No,
about who would be picked.
right. Look, the fact that I'm smarter than the GMs of these teams, notwithstanding, we'll see how they'll play out. If they can protect Bryce Young, I think the Panthers will do fine with him. But my analysis, given who their offensive coordinator is, who is Frank Reich, who is a big in the pocket passer like a CJ Stroud himself. It's the reason that Wentz went to Philadelphia when he was there. CJ just fit his style of offense better. So we'll just see how that works out. I just think that I think the player themselves would do better if they flip the systems that they're going to be now playing in.
Solid defense of your reasoning. I can't poke hardly any holes in your logic. I just think Bryce Young's the better player.
Like I said, it was never about who was maybe more athletic or who may have been the better player at the college level. I think when players are that close, like even if you look at most of the way he was graded out on the point system that everybody is now, that Pro Football Focus started years ago, that everybody kind of concentrates on now, they're less than a full point apart between their overall grade. So I mean, they were so close. So to me, it really my thought process was, what is the best fit for the offense you're going to run?
Right.
If I was just going to pick a quarterback out of pure athleticism, who, if we were going to play out in the street, was just going to make everybody look like a fucking moron because he was just that much athletically better, it would have been Bryce Young all day long.
Well, let me ask you this. It being as high as you are on CJ Stroud, thinking he's the best one in the draft, and you got a good argument. How about the fact that the Texans then double down and grab Will Anderson in the next pick? How wild is that?
So it's safe to say that the Texans are a shit show of a football team. the last few years, the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Let's face it, the ownership over there, and they've been lobbing that, racism and inside racism inside of the organization, whether that's true or not. But I mean, these are the accusations that have been being lobbed for a while. Let's face it, Bud Adams he's an asshole. So I that organization has been in trouble for a few years. I mean, they let JJ Watt go, for God's sake, right? I mean, they had the best wide receiver in the NFL, DeAndre Hopkins, and they let him go too. So, I mean, it just kind of, they just been falling apart. So they stepped in and they decided we have to get Deshaun Watson again, or a franchise quarterback, and we need a leader for our defense. And they went all in, and we're going to find out if they were right or not. That's for sure.
Well, you and I and the rest of the entire world knew that Will Anderson Jr. was going to go at number 3.
Absolutely.
And
everybody
so
knew.
We both got 2 points because we just missed the team because the Cardinals traded. So that was pretty interesting. What about number 4 here with the Colts picking up Anthony Richardson? I got 3 more points because I called that one. And remember, when we talked about this on the challenge on the last episode, I was all about Levis. And at the last minute, I changed it. The last minute, I changed it to Richardson. I was like, I just think they're going to go for Richardson. And then when you started talking about Levis, I'm like, shit, I wish I had my pick back. Well, I'm glad I didn't take it back.
Well, I to be fair, I still think I'm right about Will Levis. I still think he was the better quarterback in that spot as well. But
he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Mayonnaise, coffee. He puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
And that is psychotic. Don't get me wrong. That is some psychotic shit right there.
I don't give a shit what he puts in his coffee if he can slang that ball.
Right. I think, so for me, if the Colts, if they're comfortable waiting a couple of few years for Richardson to develop, I think they'll have the most athletic quarterback in the NFL at that point, because he's a freak of nature. Yeah. But he only has 12 starts at the college level. That's it.
He's raw.
And he is very raw. His feet are all wrong. His mechanics are kind of shoddy. He needs a lot of work. It's not that he does not have the talent. If I was an agent who was working with him, I would have told him to do another year at Florida before he came out, because developmental wise, it would have helped him so much more. And he very may have next year gone as the number 1 overall pick. But we're going to find out. I think Will Levis dropped a lot because there was some talk about him being super cocky and arrogant in his interviews, whether that's true or not. At least that was the scuttlebutt, right? So that kid, though, has a lot of starts. He's a starter for a few years, 2 full years of starting. He's got pretty good numbers overall. I don't think he checks down all that great, but he certainly has the size that you would want in a pocket passer in the NFL. The dude's big and he's very strong, and he's got a rocket for an arm. And I think he'll start quicker. And I think where he's going actually benefits him. So where he ended up early in the second round actually is better for Will Levis, because there will be no pressure on him to start right away, because Ryan Tannehill is the starter for the Titans right now, so he can ease in.
Yeah, and if Tannehill will be a pro and actually
coach him up,
be a cool guy, kind of
what do they call that in professional wrestling? Where it's called doing honors, right? Where this is the guy that's going to take over for you. You're in the middle part to the late part of your career, and you do the right thing, and you make sure that he gets all the benefit of your knowledge before you walk out the door. And I think Ryan Tannehill, from all information ever gathered on him, is he is actually that guy.
Yeah, he seems like a dude. He seems like a nice enough dude, like be willing, like a Alex Smith sort of guy.
I think he'll help him out a lot. Now, a lot of this also relies on Will Levis. If it's true that he's a conceited, arrogant prick, he may change his mind about all of that. So,
Yeah.
but we've seen other arrogant pricks like Ryan Leaf, for instance, or DeMarcus Russell, who was supposed to be the guy who was going to change how quarterbacking was done for the rest of, long before the Deshaun Watsons and the Pat Mahomes. Remember DeMarcus Russell with the Raiders?
Oh, yeah.
That was the guy that was going to change everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that lazy, arrogant, conceited piece of shit blew his career up.
Yeah, he didn't want to put out at all, dude. He
and by the way,
for it, man.
No, he didn't want to put out. He wanted to put down.
It.
He wanted to put down. He wanted to put every piece of food he could find down his gullet. You remember when
no self-control.
when they cut him and he decided that he was going to finally get his shit together and get another shot at the NFL. He was at that point when he decided that he was going to lose weight and get in shape. After one season out of the NFL, he went from 245 pounds to 325.
He could be a lineman.
and he's like 400 pounds now, right? I mean, and this was a guy, when you watched him at LSU, all you could do is look at him and go, that guy's going to redefine how the quarterback spot gets played in the NFL. And he totally shit the bed.
Right. And it couldn't happen to a better team.
That's why I'll say
Raiders suck.
The NFL stands. Thank you, Jerry Glanville. That the NFL stands not for long if you don't get your head on right.
Yeah, it's the men's league, man. You better bring it.
Sure is.
You better bring it. You better pack a lunch, and you better be ready to stay all night.
You better. It's a different game altogether. It's very easy to be the cocky kid, like a Will Levis, as an example, if what they're saying is true, because in high school, you're the king on the campus. In college,
you're the dude.
You're the king on the campus.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, you are one of roughly 22 to 30 kings on your own football team.
Not just that, but you're a fucking rookie. Shut up and sit down, bitch. Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, nobody's got time for your bullshit. So how about the fact that then the Seahawks roll in with Devin Witherspoon?
Well, I mean, look, you're never going to go. Devin Witherspoon, I had graded out as the best corner in the game. So if that's where you want to go, fine. I just think that they had far more glaring problems than a cornerback.
On the D line.
I mean, I just thought it wasn't a good pick for them.
I agree. Tyree Wilson's still there.
That's right.
You got Will McDonald there. You still got Lucas Van Ness there.
You still got Jalen Carter. And I thought for sure they would take
Jalen Carter. Freaking Jalen Carter, bro.
Right. So Jalen Carter is one of those players that
Seahawks, you fail.
Yeah. They could have helped themselves a whole lot more. And I think they swung and missed on that one. Nothing against Devin Witherspoon. He's going to start this year and he'll be a perennial All-Pro. He's that good.
Yeah.
But that's not the help they needed right now. And
Fair
so
enough.
when I'm grading a draft, if I give Seahawk, say a C draft, which I haven't even gone over because I haven't gone that far yet. But let's just say that's what I would do for their overall draft, give them a C. That has nothing to do with Devin Witherspoon at all. It has everything to do with the GM and Pete Carroll in Seattle not getting the players of need that they needed. They took the highest player they had rated on the board. And that's always been the argument. Do you take the best player for your team or do you take the best rated player on the board? I've always been on the side of you always take the best player for your team.
I agree with you. Yep. And there's a lot of argument there, but team, it's what do you need? Okay, if they're the best player on the board's a quarterback and you have Patrick Mahomes, that's a fucking retarded pick. Sorry. So anyway, moving along here.
Paris Johnson goes to the Cards.
That's a good move. I mean, you know what? They moved back a little bit and they got Paris Johnson Jr. I mean, if anything, they need some help for their quarterback.
Okay. So, right. Their quarterback needs to be protected. This is my problem with Bryce Young. He's small. He's like the size of Bryce Young, right? He's 5'10".
I think Bryce is. I just think Bryce is a better athlete. I just do, bro.
But Kyler Murray's. I think he's a great athlete. I just my concern.
Kyler Murray's a good running back.
In the history of the modern NFL, we'll say previous to 1960, From 1960 until now, there's only one quarterback in the NFL Hall of Fame that's under 6 foot tall. Just one. That's it. Fran Tarkington, the only guy. Right. And when he retired, he literally had every single
Well,
NFL
that'll
record.
change soon. I mean, Drew Brees is going to be in there.
Yeah, but Brees is at least listed as 6 foot. They're not even pretending. Well, I think Kyler Murray's more like 5'8". They just say he's 5'10".
Yeah. I mean,
so, but my point is, and Kyler Murray's not working out. And I think Bryce Young is better. Don't get me wrong. I thought he's better coming out of college for sure.
Yeah.
I thought Kyler Murray was a crazy pick to begin with, especially because I thought Kyler Murray would drop to the 3rd or 4th round. I didn't even see why you would take him in the first.
I remember sitting in St. Louis with you in this, like right there by the Cardinals baseball stadium with these huge screens, and we're watching these Kyler Murray interviews. And we're both like, yeah, I don't think it's going to work out.
And the irony for all our fans listening is we were drinking Manhattans in St. Louis.
Yes, we were.
So,
Tyree Wilson.
Oh, no. And old fashions.
Oh, of course. So the Raiders.
So but before we go away,
go ahead.
Real quick, Paris. I didn't have him as the number 1 tackle. That was Peter Skoransky for me, but they were 1A and 1B, not 1 and 2 to me. So they did themselves a favor. This guy will literally, not only will he protect Kyler Murray, but you'll never be able to see Kyler Murray if he's standing behind him. You'll never even see him. You won't even know he's there.
Fair enough.
but I think Paris is a first day starter on the backside of Kyler Murray. I think he's that guy. And so does Kyler Murray, by the way, because he put a lot of pressure on the franchise to make this happen.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's going to be beneficial to him for sure. So,
yeah.
All right. So the Raiders go with Tyree Wilson. I don't think either one of us have an issue with that. Although
they need that kind of help. They need a lot of help in with the Raiders. I thought personally that they were going to go offensive tackle because I thought Jimmy Garoppolo is so damn fragile. Yeah. It's not that he doesn't have the skill level to win. His record when he's healthy bears out that he more than can win football games for you. His percentage of wins in the games he has played is one of the highest in NFL history. So, but that O line's just not that good, and they really need some help there. But Tyree Wilson on the defensive side of the ball is going to wreak havoc, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. Pat Mahomes is going to feel a little bit of that too. I mean, because this kid's got a high motor, he can come.
You had at least you were closer than I was. First of all, you had a better idea about who they would pick, and second of all, you had Tyree Wilson going in the first round, which I did not. So you got a point absolutely. Here. I got 0 points here. Moving on to the Falcons. Well, I'm going to get back to them when we talk about our worst and best. Bijan Robinson is an absolute stud. I can't believe I would be mad about anybody picking him, but I'm mad about it. Damn it. This is a bad pick. This is a
terrible pick. This is again, there are reasons why the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals are the cream of the crop in the NFL, along with San Francisco. I add them too. And the reason that the Falcons aren't, because I do not blame Bijan Robinson.
No.
Because he is an A+ player, period. Yep. And he is going to wreak havoc, and he's going to help that team. But this team has the worst defensive front line in football, and has for years. They are last in quarterback pressures for 3 consecutive years. Everybody, I was watching this on ESPN, and as a joke, they put up a graphic, and you know how they put up the team's needs, and it's like 3 or 4 positions in order of need. They put up edge rusher, edge rusher, defensive back. And And Atlanta picks a running back. Oh, and by the way, Atlanta had the fourth most proficient running offense in the NFL last year. They didn't even need a running back.
Do you know what sucks for Bijan Robinson? They're gonna ride.
They're
gonna ride him to death. They're gonna break
Yes.
him down shotgun style, and he ain't gonna be worth a shit in 3 years. And that sucks.
It's a shame.
Because Jalen Carter went the very next freaking pick, and that could have substantially helped them. And instead, they just decided they're going to ride Bijan Robinson and into the ground. What the fuck?
Luke Von Ness was on the board. Kalijah Cansey still on the board. There was
Will McDonald. Will McDonald. Yeah. I mean,
it literally makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's shockingly stupid. just dumb.
All right, so moving on. Let's talk about the Eagles.
Let's talk. Okay, wait. Time out. Because the Falcons are this fucking dumb, the Eagles get Jalen Carter.
No.
As if. By the way,
how pissed off is James right now? How pissed off is James right now?
Oh, too bad, pal. James is really pissed off right now. How the hell is Jalen Carter still on the board? The Eagles, did you know what they were doing in the Eagles room? So there was a guy. I heard this. I heard some rumblings. I called some of my contacts, and this is what happened. There was somebody in the Eagles draft room, and they said, I think we can take Jalen Carter. And they immediately said, you're fired. The Falcons are taking Jalen Carter, you idiot.
And then they did, and they're like, you're rehired. Come back.
So I think the Eagles the Falcons pick in, and then as they always do, they say Eagles are on the clock. The Eagles pick is in. That's exactly how that happened, because this was a no-brainer. First off, you have a team that really doesn't have a big deficit anywhere, right?
Oh my God.
And now you just handed him the best defensive tackle coming out of college football since Warren Sapp.
Insane, bro. Insane.
Amazing. By the way, Philadelphia's draft overall was
wait. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Ugh. We'll get to that segment in a minute with the best and worst.
So anyway, they sent a message to the NFC. I'll say
oh my God.
They're loaded, bro. Holy shit. All right.
Next
we go to the Bears.
Bears to round out the top 10 with Darnell Wright. To me, isn't it?
They took an offensive tackle. That's what I picked for him. I just thought it would be Paris Johnson.
Between Johnson, Skoronski, Wright, like you said, Broderick Jones, those guys are all interchangeable at that point.
Yeah. I actually think that on my original pick, I thought Paris Johnson, because he also played with the Bears quarterback at Ohio State.
Ohio State guy.
Right? Justin Fields. So I just thought that kind of kismet would be really good for them, but Paris went earlier than I thought. But they certainly made the right pick. Darnell Wright is not a wrong pick.
No.
He's a super athletic, got great feet, great hands.
He's not Darnell Wright.
And he's extremely strong. And he's got for a guy who's 6'4"-ish, he has a very well-proportioned body, meaning his center of gravity is towards the center of his body, which is really good for an offensive tackle. So I think he's going to start day one.
Hell yeah. So I'm going to move through some of these later ones a little bit faster here.
You just said you wanted to get to the top 10.
I do, but I just want to brush through some of these real fast. So Skoronski to Tennessee is not an issue. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions. I think that's a smart pick.
Yeah, I thought it was a stretch. I'll explain that later.
That's fair. I'm willing to listen to that. I have an issue with 13 with the Packers. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Taking an edge rusher?
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Of all the things, so what the Packers did is they must have sat down and they went, you know what? We just traded Aaron Rodgers. And we don't even really have
we have no offense at all.
Jordan Love's not that guy. And we have no tight end, and we have no wide receivers, and we have no running game, and our offensive line sucks. So let's not help our quarterback.
My.
Let's go with an edge rusher. And by the way, I think Luke Von Ness is great.
Yeah.
I loved it at Iowa, but this is just a bad pick.
Wow.
unnecessary.
Green Bay's gonna suck for a while, bro.
Yeah, they're going to be a bad football team for the foreseeable
The
future.
Steelers getting an offensive tackle, no surprise.
Right? I didn't think they would. Here's the thing about the Steelers. I'll say this
Yeah.
quickly. I had Joey Porter going to them in the first round. As
They
it
got him
turns
in the
out, at
second.
number 30. Well, they got him but they got him in what would still normally be the
32,
first
yeah.
round. Right. But you're right. Joey Porter dropped to the second, but they still got him, and that's exactly who I picked
Amazing.
for them. But now, if you look at the Steelers draft again, holy crap,
They had
man,
a
they did an
solid
amazing
draft.
job. Yeah,
If
it
it
was
weren't
great.
for a couple of the others, actually, Steelers are my runner-up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Steelers are right at the top for me.
Jets get Will
Jets?
McDonald. I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah, that was a fat zero for me. I didn't even.
The only reason I think it
McDonald
makes sense is because he's Will McDonald. He's just the best player on the board.
I still think that they need help.
That's fine, but that guy is such a.
And yeah, but they just gave it up for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, their defense was a top 7 defense in the NFL last year. So while he'll play and he'll be good, I have no doubt. Was it as big a need pick when you just took on the NFL's largest contract for this season coming up in guaranteed money to Aaron Rodgers, and you got nobody to protect him?
I feel you.
Well, actually, I can't say that. Their offensive line is
still
not
pretty
bad,
good, yeah.
But they could
use some help.
Either way, I wasn't as high on McDonald, but I think McDonald still would have been there in the second round for them.
No,
but
he would have been gone directly.
We're going to find out.
He would have gone directly the next pick, or within the next 5 picks, he'd have been gone. And that's the thing about Edge. One thing I wanted to say about Edge. Here we go. One
edge rusher. He's a
1, 2, 3. Yeah, but he's considered an edge rusher. 1, 2.
He's too small to play.
No,
he's.
I'm telling you, bro.
He's
an edge.
He's 235 pounds.
He's going to be a defensive end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 edge rushers taken in 31 picks. So that to me is a point right there.
Well, he did, but to be fair, he did not come off the board as an edge rusher. He came off the board as a linebacker.
Will McDonald.
That's the way he was listed.
Will McDonald is an edge rusher, bro.
At college, he wasn't.
He's in defensive end.
He was a linebacker.
Okie doke.
He's 6'4", and he only weighs 235 pounds. Mm-hmm. I mean, so my
pull up some video.
Well, all right, hang on.
You're like, well, that's easier said than done.
I got all kinds of stuff from this cat at the combine. I got this little video.
Yeah, defensive end. I don't like. What are you looking at? It's a defensive end. 6'4", 236. Will McDonald, defensive end.
He likes to jump over cars. That's helpful. So, all right. Well, it's neither here nor there. Outside linebacker, edge rusher are all the same damn thing to me these days.
Well, that's the truth. That's a hybrid position. And in college, especially in college, they'll line up at the outside linebacker position, and they'll roll in the flats, and they'll play pass protection, or they'll line up on the edge and they'll pass rush.
Sure.
So they're synonymous at the college level.
I'll acquiesce on that only because they've pretty much gone away with the designation of defensive end anymore in outside linebacker. They call everybody an edge rusher now.
So,
and I look, it's not that I don't like the kid. I think actually he can cover people out of the backfield because he's not too big. That doesn't mean he can't bring heat from the edge. I think he's just he's more a utilitarian player. I mean, he's a 3-down guy to me, not somebody who's coming in on for sure pass plays only.
Well,
but I just didn't. For me, I like Jack Campbell better, but Doesn't matter. Either way, you're not. I mean, we talked about this during the draft. These guys are so closely lumped
I
together
see now.
that.
You wanted him to take a linebacker.
Well, I had Jack Campbell drop it, not even going as high as he did. I had him going to the Saints.
Fair enough.
But I just don't.
So do you have a problem with the Lions taking
the Jet with the Lions
taking
with
Campbell?
What? No.
Sound like you had some hate for the Lions. We'll get there, I guess. So.
Well, yeah, that'll be interesting. So the next is the Redskins, who absolutely picked what they absolutely had to have. They picked the right position. They just took the wrong player. And nothing against Emmanuel Forbes. I watched him. He's very good. He, out of all the corners, he had more interceptions and more pick sixes than any by far. He had 5 pick sixes last year alone. I mean, this kid's amazing. But in college, you can be 165 pounds. You can't be 165 pounds in the NFL. So they better put some weight on this kid fast, or big NFL wide receivers are going to knock him on his ass right off the line.
Yeah.
And you don't pick a first round guy so you can plug him in as a nickel back. That's stupid. You can pick them up in the 3rd and 4th round. And especially because you had Joey Porter and you had Christian Gonzalez still sitting there. Mm-hmm. Christian Gonzalez was the guy for sure I thought they were going to go with. I was shocked that they took Emmanuel Forbes. I didn't even have Emmanuel Forbes going in the 1st round.
Neither of us did. I saw a few mocks that did, but very few did. I think that was a big shock for a lot of people. I would say the majority.
So the next pick.
So the Patriots.
And then on the next pick, the Patriots take Christian Gonzalez, which is super smart.
Tons of sense, yeah.
Although I thought, however, they had other needs than.
Yeah, I thought they'd take Anton Harrison at that level.
You were taking Anton there. I took him later in the draft, but I saw offensive tackle for them as well. I thought it was going to be Broderick Jones.
But Jones was gone. So at that point, yeah.
So yeah, that's who I had on my
right.
On my
he was just
board.
taking two like three picks ahead, unfortunately. So
right, but I'm saying I was offensive tackle is
you were all over
saw for them, and it's because Mac Jones was running for his life last year. Mac Jones is not an athletic quarterback, right? Not the way that we understand them when you look at Pat Mahomes and guys like that. But he is a smart quarterback, and he played very, very well as a rookie, but he was eating so much shit last year that he was injured most of the season.
Right.
And that's because he was running for his life. And so unless they're planning on picking something up that I can't see, or they have something else happening that I'm not aware of, Mac Jones could be running for his life again. And so you have to, these are the kind, I'm surprised. Belichick's last couple of drafts haven't been Belichickian, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's true. It seems like he's like kind of slipping a little bit, but
could be. Hey, look, I mean, he is pushing, he's 70-ish years old now, right?
Anymore, is he?
And it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the head for the game. The question starts to become, the game's changed.
That's the point.
And is he still trying to shoehorn his philosophy of football into a much more modern world than he's coming from? And I think that's part of what's happening with the Patriots right now.
You're not wrong, bro. So let's go quickly through. So Lions got Campbell, good move. Buccaneers got
right. I had him look, Campbell, 6'5", 255
monster.
pounds. Yeah, sideline to sideline speed. He's going to be great.
Fair enough.
Kalijah Cansey was one of yours. I did not see that. I saw him in the 2nd round very early, but we talked about that draft day. You totally called Kalijah Cansey in the 1st round. Good call.
Yeah, he's a great nose tackle. So the Seahawks, they picked up Njigba.
That was a good pick. A great pick for them.
Put him next to freaking DK Metcalf. Oh my God.
Well, yeah. Now, and let's face it, Smith played amazing last year, right? Like, actually, you can make the argument he played better than Russell Wilson did the couple of years previous to that. And now you just
another weapon.
One of the bigger wide receivers. And we talked about this draft day, and then this is all I have to say on it. There is no fear in this kid. He can play right in the slot and he'll take anything across the middle of the field. He ain't
No
scared.
doubt, bro.
Kid's fearless. I love Ohio State wide receivers. They're always tough as nails.
They are. Absolutely. So,
and then speaking of which, Quentin Johnston is the biggest, baddest of them all. And he's going to help the Chargers.
Yeah, I'd say Justin Herbert's happy to have him roll out. He actually worked out. Johnston worked out with the Chiefs. He worked out with Pat Mahomes. Mahomes set up a little camp down there in Texas, actually, and in Dallas, and he got a whole little like field and like had guys coming out. Was out there for quite a while. He had Johnston. He had Zay Flowers down there. And he had a bunch of the top guys he was working out with him. And he was high on Johnston. Johnston went to the Chargers, though. So he's a big dude.
Hey Bear. I keep calling him Hey Bear.
That's fine.
This kid is the real deal. He's a top 5-6 quarterback in the NFL. And they just took a lot of pressure off of him. And the Chargers should have been better last year than they were, and I think this goes a long way to correct that.
Amen. So next,
I think the Chargers are going up, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I still don't see Russell Wilson being any help to Denver. I think his career's on the downhill slide hard, and the Raiders have become the shit show that we all know the Raiders to be from time to time.
Yay! So there were two receivers that the Chiefs worked at. Patrick Mahomes worked out with that were supposed to go top, the first round, and that was Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers. That he did that like publicly, right? And Quentin Johnston went 21. Zay Flowers went next with the Ravens at 22. By the way, Ravens, well done.
Yeah, smart move.
Oh man,
and that's when they decided. I think for the Ravens, once they decided ahead of the draft to solidify their team and to sign correctly, and get things fixed with Lamar Jackson. He's a top 5 quarterback. You never allow a top 5 quarterback to go unless he's at the back end of his career, maybe like Aaron Rodgers is now. But this guy is at the front end of his career. He is a legitimate Super Bowl quarterback, and he needed a little bit of help, and they signed him, and then they went and got him a fantastic weapon. And with OBJ, that team just got precipitously better on the offense. And they also, on the offensive side, they also have a good, solid running game to begin with. So they're going to be a scary football team next year.
Dude. So good. With Zay, that was my guy. Remember, I wanted the Chiefs to move up for him. I was thinking the Chiefs could move up to 20 or something like that and get Zay.
Actually, you texted me. You texted me when they chose him. Fuck the Ravens.
No, that's my guy.
So that takes us straight to the Vikings and Jordan Addison, who I picked for them at that spot. Great move by the Vikings. And here,
bro.
And I said on our draft spectacular before the draft that this is it for Kirk Cousins, who I like as a person, who has all the skills, but has never been able to get over the top as a quarterback. This is it. Between him and the kid they drafted last year, Jefferson, who was NFL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And now you got this kid. If you can't get to the NFC Championship game or into the Super Bowl next year, it's time to move on from Kirk Cousins because he have every weapon at his disposal.
Enough, dude. Absolutely. So
plus, they got a good running game, a great running game, actually. So there's no more excuses. If they can't put points on the board and they can't win when it matters, time for Kirk to go. So next are the Giants.
They pull in a quarterback at Deontay Banks.
I did not see this one because they need interior offensive line help. But I'm guessing because they do need some help on the defensive side in the backfield, and they thought, who the hell thought Deontay Banks would be sitting here?
I had them,
and so I think they took I think they probably had Deontay ranked as their best corner. I had him in my top 3. They probably had him rated number 1. And when he fell that far, they thought, we'll pick up interior line next round. We're never going to have a shot for our top guy at a need position. And that's why they took him. And it was probably a smart move on their part.
You're probably right. I had them taking a tight end there, but for all the arguments you make, they probably make a good move there.
And Danny Dimes, I mean, it's not like they need a little offensive help. But again, we talk about this all the time when we talk about football. A defense that can keep your offense on the field by ball hawking, by creating turnovers, by putting pressure, and here getting a corner, especially you look at the NFC East, the big wide receivers that they have, Deontay Banks can shut one of those guys down and remove them from a game. The Giants are in every game against the Eagles, the Skins or Commanders, and the Cowboys. And if they want to make the playoffs, they have to win at least half of those games. So I think it was just a smart pick. I don't think if he was off the board, they would have gone that way necessarily, but cornerback was their second most needy position, and they had their top guy on the board, and they were like, nah, we got to take
Well, I might have thought that the Giants were going to take a tight end, but the Bills did at 25, and they went ahead and
up. And actually,
they moved up.
My top tight end.
They moved up
actually,
for Dalton Kincaid, didn't they?
They did. They traded with the Jags to get up and get Dalton Kincaid because I think they were afraid that Dallas was going to take him. So they made the trade. Dalton Kincaid is, to me, the best tight end, the way a tight end kind of works in the NFL now, like Travis Kelce. He's got size, he's got length, but he's fast, and he works more as a tight end that's a wide receiver. And I think he's going to give we said that they had to get help for because Stephon Diggs wasn't enough for Allen. You can't have just one guy.
Target.
They got the other guy. Now you could make the argument that they had Dawson Knox, and he is a great tight end, but he's more in a George Kittle. He's also a blocker and everything else. So when you go into 2 tight end formations and you have a pure receiver and a guy who can block, it adds a real dimension to their offense. I think it was a good pick for them. I mean, I'm not giving it like an A++ kind of thing, but it was a solid pick of need, and it gives Josh Allen a big, strong target in the middle.
I'm a Michael Mayer guy. I think he's better, but Dalton Kincaid could prove.
Yeah, I saw Kincaid as number 1.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Mike Meyer did. He fell out of the first, but not far. And he's legit. They're both going to start. They're both playing this year.
Washington too, but all right.
Yeah. He slid. He
did, but somebody will make something out of him. So yeah,
Dallas,
Cowboys got Mazi Smith. This is a guy I was high on.
Yeah, you were. I just think the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't think they needed him. I think it was a bad pick for them.
I don't know what but Dallas is a mess when it comes to the draft. Did they show it on, because I know you were watching on the NFL Network. Where did you see Jerry Jones? And they were all high-fiving each other like they just got the guy. When they said Mazi Smith, I was like,
you know what happened? What? Somebody said, Mr. Jones, we're about to turn the cameras on. And he's like, hey, everybody, high fives. Because the cameras were on.
I think Jerry Jones was having a senility moment, and he thought they drafted Emmitt Smith, not Mazi Smith.
So
I like Mazi Smith.
Monster.
And he was, to me, a bubble first round guy. So I have no problem with him coming in the first round. It's just not a neat pick for the Cowboys. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
All right.
Especially since Emmitt Smith just walked out, right? Like they got, not Emmitt, excuse me. Oh, Jesus Christ, his name's escaping me. The running back that they cut.
The Ewok? The Ewok?
The Wookiee. Yeah.
He's a little Ewok. Don't worry about it. It's good enough. He's from Endor or something. I don't know how that goes. But.
So, but they just got... So he's done, right? So his career is over with the Cowboys. I thought Pollard was the better guy anyway. But Pollard's a situational back. He's not an every down back right there. Jamar Gibbs would have made
Right.
sense to me.
Well, totally.
Right,
I
he wasn't
completely
available,
agree. Well, wasn't he already gone?
but
I think he's already gone.
yeah, he was already gone. Yeah, that would have made sense at that.
They should have moved
or
up.
if they would have gone. But they should. I thought that they were going to draft Dalton Kincaid. Tight end is a huge need for them, and I thought that he would fit in that Jason Witten mode, and would really help out their very not good quarterback Dak Prescott.
Right.
And it just they shit the bed again. But Jerry Jones he does this a lot. He needs to step aside, let his son Skip run it, because that guy knows what he's doing. Okay, let's Dallas to the Jags. You called it. You said the Jags were probably going to take a tackle. They did. They took a damn good one, Anton Harrison. I'm a Jags. I'm wearing it. So I thought the Jags would go corner here, but I'm not going to cry about taking care of my boys back. We have a legit NFL franchise quarterback, and if you're going to protect him, I'm not going to cry about it.
All right, so next we've got the Bengals, the Bungholes, Mr. Bungholes, and they took Miles Murphy.
Yep. Miles,
man, you're not going to make me upset with this.
Okay,
I love this guy.
Okay,
so high on
it should
this
make
guy.
you upset. You should.
Well, I am upset as an AFC contender.
Cincinnati, like the Philadelphia Eagles, and we discussed this when we were doing our draft picks originally, is where these guys are all coming up short is they can't get the pressure on Pat Mahomes even when he's running around on one leg. Bro. And so they're trying to address that situation.
Demon.
The Bengals are a legit Super Bowl team. They're a legit Super Bowl team, and they just made their defensive line better. And so it's a great pick for them. I'm not arguing the pick at all. That was definitely a need, and but he is he's a little more situational. I mean, like a Charles Haley type, where he comes in to directly put pressure on your quarterback.
He's going to come downhill fast, bro.
Keep him fresh and just let him let his motor run.
What do you think about the Saints?
Go to you call Brian Breezy. Breezy.
It's like Brizzy or Brazy or however the fuck you say it.
I saw Jack Campbell, a linebacker, gone here, but this is kind of 6 in one, half dozen in the other. This is a good pick for the Saints. Solid. This kid's going to play, and he's going to be really good. Sure.
All right, so the Eagles, holy shit. How do they do this?
Smith.
Why?
49ers fans, book your tickets to the NFC Championship game, but no further because Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. This is stupid. I don't know how they do this. I don't know. The Eagles draft is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. Just yeah. They're killing it. And we're going to talk about them in a second because the rest of the draft only gets better.
How about it, dude?
It's crazy. The Chiefs, not exactly where the player that I would have chose, but definitely after Frank Clark goes, they need the help. This is another guy who is a situational player, but he can definitely apply pressure.
Yeah, so I had the Chiefs moving up to get Zay Flowers. That's what I wanted. I told you that.
Yeah, I had the Chiefs go on offensive tackle because of their loss.
That's fair. And and I'll talk about it later. We did go get Wanya Morris, an offensive tackle, a fucking absolute monster in the 3rd round. But in the meantime, it's the 1st round. And
a tackle in the 3rd round is not kind of like the same thing. I mean,
all of your first round,
he'll do
all of your first round graded tackles were off the board already. So,
absolutely. We talked about that too. I mean, certain positions, edge, corner, and defensive tackle. I mean, edge rusher. There was boatloads of those guys.
Yeah,
offensive tackle, corner.
And so
we had a lot.
So the Chiefs, round. I think, just picked the best player that they could at the position they needed most. There were 3 positions they needed most. One of them was edge rusher. One of them was wide receiver. And the other, you could argue, was offensive tackle. Well, you can't argue. It's offensive tackle. And
Mhm.
so
But you can't address
they
every
actually
single
addressed
thing.
each one
I'm
of those in
sure.
the first 3 rounds. And I actually, the way
Right,
the
right.
draft fell out, I
But a
think they
plug,
did the
but
right thing. So let's
plug
go
if
back to number 31 before we get too far,
okay.
too far afield. So number 31, the Chiefs picked Felix Anaduke Uzama. He's an edge rusher. He came out of K-State. Um, he is a, a very, I wouldn't say the fastest guy of all time, but he's pretty fleet of foot. The thing about him is he's long and he's aggressive and he's angry. He plays super angry. So let me give you some stats here. In the past 2 years, he's averaged 10 sacks a year. So he had 11 sacks in 2021 and what 8.5, I guess, in 2022. Um, he is, let me give you this, he's 6'3", 252. I don't have his 40 here. I actually don't think he went to the combine, believe it or not, but the cat is really strong. And so the only reason he was even remotely on my radar, I'm not going to lie, like I wasn't like, oh, this is a guy the Chiefs are going to take. The only reason he was even remotely on my radar is because the NFL Draft Buzz.com website that I utilize as one of my handful of websites that I go to look at the analytics, to look at players prior to the draft, to develop my draft board. He was in their top 12, and they don't just do 10, they do 12. He was in their top 12, and he was like 11. So he wasn't even like high on their list. And I'm thinking, oh shit, what happened here? Why did the Chiefs just take this cat? So I slip back in, I start looking at the film, and okay, I think I understand. This guy is an absolute monster. He's he's one of the most aggressive players I've ever seen. He does not stop. He will not quit. I urge you, anyone who questions this pick, please just go to YouTube, pull up King Felix, and look at the film. It's redonk, dude. This guy is an absolute beast. I in Veach we trust is a common thing we say around Kansas City. Uh, Once again, in Veach we trust. This guy's going to be a beast. He's going to fill the shoes of Clark. I think he needs some polishing. I don't think his run stuffing is the same as Frank Clark's, but I do think that his ability to rush the quarterback and to set the edge, other than the run thing, is just as strong. And I actually think he's physically a better specimen, even at that. So
Well, I'll say this because the Chiefs are your team. That was probably pretty good analysis. Brett Veach has a great understanding of the needs of what Andy Reid is looking for. He replenishes their roster. He does a great job every year. He did another fine job this year. I Felix is going to start, and I think he'll do well. They'll work on his mechanics and get some swim moves and some things that he mechanically maybe isn't super strong on, but he's going to be fine. He's not a Frank Clark yet, but they'll do what they can to get him there. I think they did really well outside of that, though. Rashee Rice is just a great smooth wide receiver. He runs great routes. He has great separation skills. I think that Mahomes will love him. I think the kid can probably. I don't know that he'll crack the starting lineup, but he'll get a lot of opportunities in the rotating offense. And Wayne Morris is he's every bit as good as Andrew Wiley. So they're not losing anything there by picking him up if he can do what Andrew Wiley was doing. So overall, I think the Chiefs did
well, I
fine.
appreciate that, dude. And let me just say one last thing about King Felix and Duke Ozama. He's a Kansas City native. He grew up in Lee Summit. He went to K-State. now he's back in Kansas City. He's playing for his childhood team, and that's, to me, that's
Yep.
absolutely amazing.
It's cool. I mean, it's just cool. When that kind of stuff happens. For me, in the Jacksonville Jaguars, Anton Harrison was certainly something that we had to have. I mean, we lost Juwan Taylor in free agency, and one of the things that I didn't know that had happened just before the draft on Thursday, that when we were doing our mock draft the Sunday before the draft, is that Cam Robinson, who is their starting other starting offensive tackle, it looks like he's going to be suspended for gambling. So that's why I think they switched up and went with Anton Harrison, or went with an offensive tackle, is because they lost both of them. So for that was a smart pick for them. They had to have him. But I also like I had Antonio Johnson going in the first round, and he dropped all the way to the fifth round. I had him graded as the second best safety behind Brian Branch in football, and we got him in the fifth round. That's
Amen.
crazy to me. So I mean, Ventrell Miller at linebacker, situational player. I don't think he's going to crack the starting lineup, but he's helped. Tank Bigsby as a running back. He's a big, huge, strong dude who can just come in and smash, on big offenses and get that yard, to get the first down and then get your fat ass off the field. So I think overall Jacksonville did okay. They don't have a lot of we're going to change things. I mean, even the edge rusher they picked up in the fourth round, Yasir Abdullah, will add some value. But I was really surprised that Antonio Johnson was still there and they took him on Saturday. I don't know what happened there, and I haven't really looked yet. But I'd be very interested to find how somebody that was grading out in the top 3 players on most people's boards for safeties dropped all the way to the fifth round. But I'm glad we got him.
You should be. So one last thing to say about the Chiefs first pick and last pick of the first round here. Man, he's been given like some low grades, and the Chiefs' overall grade has been like kind of low. I saw here that CBS gave us a C+ overall.
Yeah, I would give the Chiefs on that draft a B, maybe even a B+.
Look here.
I don't say C+ is
Felix has 4.7 speed. Like I said, 10 sacks in the past 2 seasons. I mean, to me, he's going to be the intensity player that we need.
I don't really
that's a big. But they're using that as a big reason why they're lowering our grade.
I think the thing with what they don't take into consideration is there's 2 different kinds of speed in the NFL. There's game speed, and then there's just being clocked in the 40. In the 40, you're indoor in a controlled environment, wearing tight shorts, and you're as aerodynamic as humanly possible, and it doesn't mean anything. But a guy like Felix, at his size, if he runs a 4.7 without his uniform, he runs a 4.72 with it on. So what? Whereas a guy who runs a 4.4, maybe 4.55 with a uniform on, it's an entirely different thing that we're talking about. And bigger guys don't lose a whole lot of speed because they're wearing 10 pounds of uniform.
What I was trying to get at was that they gave us a C+ for taking him. I wanted to just go down let's go down the.
Yeah, but it's CBS.
Let's go down the memory hole real quick, Ed. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes when he was drafted. Chad Reuter, the best one of them all. Apparently, he gave us a B+ for picking Patrick Mahomes. Let's look at Danny Kelly from The Ringer. He gave us a C.
A C.
SB Nation, C. Bleacher Report's Mike Tanier, C.
And that
C+,
goes to what I say about it.
C-.
All the
Come
time.
on.
Right, but that's
Patrick Mahomes.
That's my point. Right. So when the Dolphins took Dan Marino, everybody said, what a wasted pick. Dan Marino will never be a good NFL quarterback. So that's why drafts are just about perspective in terms of what you're predicting could happen. you got to wait 3 years and see what actually does happen. That's how you evaluate a
Right.
draft to me. Right now, we're just throwing darts, and it doesn't really
Right.
mean a whole lot. Because, I mean, we could all say Bryce Young, okay, great pick. You had him as your highest rated guy. If he's in a car accident next week and never plays in the NFL again, who cares? Right? I mean, life gets in the way. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it works out. It'll be interesting to look back because we've documented all this. So it'll be interesting to look back and see where we're at. But in reality, it doesn't mean a whole lot right now. We just know that there are certain players that look like they're going to be great, but you never know. We also know that a lot of the players that we're never even going to mention now are going to end up being great NFL football players, and nobody even knows who they are yet. So not even the draft nicks know.
How about
right?
it?
So now let's get to, I made a little list here. So my top drafts go to the Steelers, the Eagles, this is my shocker, the Lions. And this is why I took the Lions. I looked at the Lions draft after it was all said and done because I thought Jahmyr Gibbs was a stretch. But after Jahmyr Gibbs, they took linebacker Jack Campbell, who I had graded out the highest. My third highest rated tight end was Sam Laporta, and they got him. Then they ended up with Brian Branch in the late second round, and they ended up with Hendon Hooker. And then they picked up defensive tackle Broderick Martin on top of that, plus Antoine Green as a wide receiver and Kobe Sorsdal as an offensive tackle prospect. This is an incredible draft. Every one of these players may end up playing this year for this team. It's unbelievable. I don't know how Brian Branch was the fourth pick of the Detroit Lions. The fourth. He wasn't the fourth round, but he was their fourth pick. And then their next pick was Hendon Hooker. So what a draft, man. I didn't see that coming.
I agree, man. They did a really good job. But like you said, the Eagles, holy shit, the Eagles.
Okay, well, let's do the Steelers because I was saving the Eagles for last. So, and I have the Steelers at one of my top score as well, an A+. Then not only did they get Broderick Jones and Joey Porter, then they got defensive tackle Keanu Benton, who's going to start. But then they got your boy, Ted and Darnell Washington on top of that. And then at linebacker, my third highest rated linebacker, Nurk Herbig. What the hell is happening here? Oh, so yeah. But then come the Eagles. Okay, you got Jalen Carter and Norland Smith, which is ridiculous. But did you know that my fifth rated cornerback dropped all the way to the fourth round? They got Georgia. That's three Georgia players to add to the two they took last year on the defensive side. Carter, Nolan Smith, and
I know, right?
Ringo.
How do they pick up Ringo to boot? Wow, bro.
This is and Tyler Stern, offensive tackle. He'll be weak side tackle, or he might move into guard, but he is going to play this year. And safety Sidney Brown was my third guy on the board. So wow, wow!
They absolutely crushed it. The Eagles, for me, that was my top team. They did the best out of all of them. I think that the Chiefs are a sleepy like B level. Like they're like the Eagles are an A and the Chiefs are an A-. Let me just quickly go through again. You know, the Chiefs got King Felix on the first round. We moved up in the second round for Rashee Rice, who was an absolute stud receiver. Look out. We moved up again to pick 92 for Wanya Morris, who was a phenomenal offensive tackle. I think he's going to be challenging for a day one starter. At pick 119 in round 4, we got a phenomenal cornerback, Shamari Connor, BJ Thompson, a linebacker in round 5. We got Coburn, who's a defensive tackle in round 6, and then we rounded it up with Nick Jones in round 7. I would say that, again, the Chiefs are an A minus, maybe close to B plus, but I'm gonna give him A minus.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're a homer, so
I'm
that kind of
trying to
makes
be
sense.
fair.
I'll give him a B plus. Again, I hate giving anybody an A on. So right now we're all, yay, the Eagles did such a great job. But we really don't know until this whole thing
Fair.
comes out in the wash. So, but right now on paper, it
Right.
just looks that way. And on paper, the Chiefs aren't where Pittsburgh and the Eagles are, just in name recognition alone. But that doesn't mean anything. That's always my problem with drafting and grading it now. I will say, from my perspective, the worst drafts were clearly the Packers, the Dolphins, and Atlanta. You cannot be the worst pass rushing team in football year after year and do
Let me get an
nothing to address the
honorable
problem.
mention. Go ahead, keep going.
The Packers, just a shit draft, just garbage. They did nothing to help that team at all, just garbage. And the Dolphins, to be fair, between bad trades then just being dicks, just had no picks. I mean, you can't have a good draft if you don't have any picks to show for anything. So that was garbage. And I don't think the Saints did a particularly great job.
Well, let me take a minute to hate on the 49ers. I'm sorry, you reached up for a safety. You went too far. You didn't need it. That was a dumb move for your first pick.
And they did. Well, if you're going to do it,
holy shit. That was my next point. How do you not take? Oh, God. So there's that. And then at 99, you take a fucking kicker. Really? At 99, in the top 100, you're going to take a fucking kicker? You lose. You lose, 49ers. You fucking lose. Even if you got Christian McCaffrey, you lose.
And the distance between the 49ers and the Eagles just went from here to here.
What are you doing?
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but it wasn't a good look for them at all. At all. The only reason that I didn't grade them out is because
they finished up in the later rounds really well.
Well, and the fact that the reason they never
Christian
first round pick to begin with is because he got Christian McCaffrey, which I mean, given the situation, Christian McCaffrey is worth almost your entire draft. I mean, he's a game changer. So they at least got that. So that's why they didn't have the picks that they probably would have.
You could have done a lot better job.
Then I have. I'm not going to sit here and go through everything with the Jags because I've already talked about it, but I gave the Jags just a B. I think they could have done a little stronger and the first. I think they recovered in the backside. They got some players. Cam Robinson going to be lost for a portion of the season because of some gambling issues. I didn't even know about that at the time. So I understand Anton Harrison so much better now. And considering their draft spot, there wasn't, I mean, Broderick Jones and Paris and Skronsky, all those guys were already gone. Darnell Wright, they were already gone. So they took the best available guy that was left. Their tight end that they drafted in the second round, though, I thought that was a reach. He would have been available in the third as well. So they could have waited. But other than that, they got a solid B, but nothing groundbreaking, I don't think. But if Harrison plugs in, and he becomes a perennial guy and he can take care of Lawrence's back, then I could change my mind when we take a look back at this in a couple of few years, Now, my best value picks for the draft. Pittsburgh getting Joey Porter in the second round. What else do you say about that? Kylie Ringo going to the Eagles in the fourth round. Holy crap. What? You're going to love this one because the Giants. This was a guy you had in the first round. Got Jalen Hyatt in the third round.
I actually, even though I had him picked in the first round, I thought that Jalen Hyatt, I said this last time, Jalen Hyatt was like the most overrated receiver.
You're right, because he's sloppy. But he's value
fast.
Pick in the third
and
round,
it's so funny. You can go and watch you can watch his YouTube videos. There's one in particular where he's like trying out, and the coach is like, your skill set is a certain thing and you should rely on it. And he's like, what's my skill set, coach? And he goes, it's speed.
Speed.
And he's like, I can run routes too, coach. And then he doesn't run routes.
Yeah.
He just runs fast.
Here's
it's all sloppy as fuck.
The thing that matters here is the Giants need to stretch the football field.
Right.
They're in the NFC East. They need to stretch the field. If this kid can hang on to the ball,
right,
and he can get downfield, he'll stretch the field. That, and in the third round,
and his best attribute is like in between the breaks. So from the first break of the route and then going up stage, the next level, that's where he has his best speed. And that's gonna pay dividends. Like they'll be able to use him. He's gonna be a weapon.
Brian Branch going in the second round. I don't even know what to say about that. That's a Lions pick. The Titans got Will Levis in the second round with Ryan Tannehill. I think that's a really good move for them. So great value pick there because they're not going to pay him first round draft pick money. The Raiders picking up Michael Mayer in the second round was a great pick for them. That's going to, and by the way, in both New England and in San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo's best friend was always the tight end.
Safety net.
Now, Osiris Torrance, who I had going in the first round, went to the Bills in the second round. Great value pick there. One of my biggest great value picks, and I was so shocked that he went in the third round to the Chargers, Dayan Henley. Dropped all the way to the third round. I had him in the first round. Great pickup. He was my second ranked linebacker. Cam Smith in the second round to the Dolphins. It's the only thing that made the Dolphins not an F draft for me. The Jets getting Joe Tripman. I thought he was a bona fide first round, the best center in the draft in years. Great pickup for the Jets. And then, of course, Antonio Smith, the safety, dropping all the way to the fifth round. The Jags picking him up just blew my mind. That may be the biggest. Now, here's something else. Drew Sanders didn't go until the second rounds, and the Broncos picked him up. So, and you had him going in the first round, actually. So, he was the 67th pick. So those are my wow, how did these guys fall to us kind of draft picks. And it was a wonderful, fun, exciting, very active draft that had a lot of crazy shit going on. And I
just have to say, as we're moving our way along here and probably out soon, is that, man, the shots of Kansas City, the Kansas City skyline, of Union Station. Ed and I have both been there, right where they were doing that. Yeah, man, that's where I'm.
Right around, had lunch right around.
That's right.
The corner, right at the Rye. What a great restaurant! If you're ever in Kansas
Jack
City,
Stack right down the road. We were there too, and all up through the Westin and shit.
We went to every 5-star barbecue joint in Kansas City.
They're all 5-star.
Yeah, it's true. You can't survive. Yeah. If you make bad barbecue in Kansas City, you're closed the next day. It's over. Get out.
So anyway, well, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's been a fun draft season. It's been a fun draft challenge. It's been fun to once again iterate the fact that we are just as smart, if not smarter, than the experts that get paid to do this. And go ahead.
By the way, any NFL team looking for a general manager,
right,
I'm available.
If you need an assistant GA, I mean GM, I can't even give you the acronym. So anyway, all right. With that, guys, thanks for tuning in. Check us out next week. We'll probably be moving past the NFL to something a little more suspicious.
Yeah, we'll get back to the NFL when they break training camp.
So, but this has been fun. If you have scored along with us, by all means, let us know.
Shout it out. And by the way, if you scored well and you can show your sheet and you can show us what you did and you did as well or better than us,
absolutely.
We'll show it.
I've got no qualms with showing my cards Let's deal it out. But if you've done better, let me know. Um, and if you think we've
Yeah.
scored somehow the experts wrong or something like that, let me know. But I challenge you because we've not. We beat them fair and square. Good luck. So
Yep. And then next year when we have millions of subscribers, we're going to go viral with this, and we're going to get prize money involved if we can get our subscribership to
yeah,
up to
we'll do
over
it
a
live
thousand
and
people.
we'll actually put some money on the line. So with that, everybody,
Yep.
thanks for tuning in. Tune in again next week, and we'll catch you for another one. Peace.